The students are unable to join, but no issue. I mean, due course of time, the technical team is working on that, so they will sort it out that. We are just going to start today's webinar. So I welcome Jayanti M. Ma'am. So we are really glad to you are with us. I mean, out of your busy schedule, you are accepted our invitation. So Igno RC Bhubaneswar continuously.
Video for W and Nurse Forum was added.
We are organizing a webinar on different themes. So today's theme is Manthan Innovation. So Government of
The
India
examination section has left the meeting.
is regularly spreading a message to all the young generation to create innovation, startup and entrepreneur so that our 2047, the developed country mission and vision can get successful. So part on that,
Steps are for left parent outside English.
RC Bhubaneswar is continuously put effort with our learners. We have an innovation club. So we are requesting to our learners, whatever ideas you have, whatever innovation you are doing, so we can participate in that. So in that series, so we are organizing
Warriors of India left parent outside English.
webinar and Manthan Innovation.
Sunny
So
Brandon and 2 more joined.
each individual,
Branches were banned across
Every
and 5
day.
more joined.
so we are doing
A lot of people are
innovation
here. The people which chose
directly
them
or
all were not.
indirectly in the different means and different status and different startup. So my dear friends, my dear learners, so this is a platform. Indira Gandhi National Open University is giving a platform to all of you. So if you are doing any kind of extravagant things in your daily lives, so you can present that to these universities. So ma'am is a vast experience in this field. So we do feel that. So with this ma'am's knowledge, experience, so she can share with our learners. So our learners can get exposed out of that. So with these words, I welcome you, ma'am, once again to our Regional Center Bhubaneswar. Thank you, ma'am. So now I request my dear fellow colleagues, Dr. P.K. Zena, to give the guest introduction. Over to you, sir.
Oh, thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everybody, and namaste, madam. We are glad to listen to you. Anyway, there were some technical issues, so some students they could not join. Anyway, they will be joining soon, and they will be starting the program. First of all, before starting this meeting, Honorable Senior Regional Director Dr. M.K. Das sir, respected Additional Director Dr. S.K. Panigay sir, respected Deputy Director Dr. Vishinanda sir, respected resource person of this meeting, Jayanti madam, respected other dignitaries, my dear colleagues, and dear learners and friends. So it's a very good opportunity to listen to a very good speaker. So we are very much thankful to her for accepting our invitation, and we are keen to listen to her. So before listening to the topic, let me introduce her. Madam has already working as a business advisor, mentor, performance catalyst, transformation architect, serial entrepreneur, master trainer with over 2 decades of expertise in banking, consulting, and entrepreneurship, including leadership roles in global organizations like HSBC and Dell. She holds an MBA, MSc in psychotherapy, and MSW, highly regarded for the strategic acumen to drive transformative growth. Her academic credentials are complemented by her certification in NLP, CODA, COPC, and COPC at HSBC Holdings. As serial entrepreneur, she has founded and co-founded organizations across diverse sectors like Manixu Agro Private Limited, Guru Educare Private Limited, and Annual Forum, and more reflecting a deep commitment to impactful, purpose-driven ventures. Our contributions have earned numerous state and national accolades, including a special mention by the Honorable Prime Minister of India in Mann Ki Baat. So it's a great news for us. And she has also served on the task force of iHub at IIM Sambalpur, and she serves on advisory and mentor of AIC, NITF, iHub Sambalpur, Bhubaneswar Angels, CUTM, GID Gunpur, MMU, APIIP from Government of Arunachal Pradesh, SPIU, and ISAP, and she is closely associated with ecosystem enablers such as Startup Odisha, MSME, DPT, ILS, Duradarshan, etc. So she also is the vice chair of Bharat FPO Confederation and executive board member of WHI Club of Initiative by Suzuki NBB. So she has numerous experience on different fields relating to business and entrepreneurship. So we'll be listening to the vast experience she has acquired till date. So we are very much thankful to her for accepting our invitation, and we are requesting her to guide our learners so that our learners will be get very.
Your microphone is on.
Okay. Thank you, madam, and once again I welcome you to this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
For your nice introduction. So, with these
Actually,
words,
Brothers like David has
once
raised a
again, I
hand.
welcome you, ma'am, for today's webinar. So, over to you, ma'am.
First off, everybody, namaskar and welcome to this program. I would like to thank the entire IGNO team and specifically Panigrai sir, who has been the key to support and get me this opportunity to kind of interact with all of you. Sir and entire team, thanks once again for giving me this opportunity. So I'm not a very formal speaker, so I'm going to go ahead and make it as much interactive. And all of you who are here today to learn and interact, we would make it more of an interactive session, less of a lecture. So please would request everybody if you can ask as many questions, and please do not shy away from your doubts as well. So to begin with, before I run the presentation, the name is very, very innovative. I got a call from sir asking that, can we have something on entrepreneurship and innovation? So the first bit that came to the mind was, how do you churn to be more innovative? So if you go towards if you look towards our mythology, so Manthan is the word, and I'm sure all of us are little aware of the theological aspect of the Vedas and everything about Manthan, right? The Samudra Manthan, or the Manthan of which resulted in many positives and many negatives, right? So, anyone who would like to narrate the story in like 30 seconds about Manthan? Anyone can just unmute and go ahead, or I can take it on. Either way. Okay, let me put it through for all of you. So Manthan was the story when, the snake Vasuki, Vishnu's deity, was used to churn the amrit, the nectar for life, which can make you immortal. That is one story. And in the second story, there is Manthan to in the milk of ocean to get Lakshmi out of it, the goddess of wealth. So ultimately, when we talk about Manthan, it is all about how you churn and churn wealth, churn positives, churn immortality, and churn the better for the world, churn to make the world a better place to live. And that's where entrepreneurship drive comes into picture. So I'm going to go ahead, share the presentation, and we take it on from there. Hope my screen is visible, everyone.
No, it's not visual now. Yeah, it's visual now.
Is it? Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
visual. Okay.
Great. Okay. We thought that, let's have month innovation, which will help us understand why entrepreneurship and churning goes hand in hand. And in addition to that, we should look at all of us as individuals driving ourselves into entrepreneurship rather than seeking, multiple jobs. So there are two things in this. One is, do we want to see what kind of a world do we want to see? Do we want to see a world which is a battlefield, or do we want to see a world which is a playground? What do we love generally? No answers? I would I would request that please answer. Just unmute yourself and answer, or maybe you can just put it up in the chat if you want. So, how do we want to look at what is our dream of a world, a good world or a good place to live?
We do not just playground.
Yes, it is always, it's since our birth, since our childhood, we all love to be on the playground every time. So the Indian construct of business talks about this playground, and Manthan is the base of this playground. Now, just a shared vision of the university, which believes in entrepreneurship and accessible to all, regardless of background and education and resources. These are the basic objectives of our, thoughts as to why we had this session today. And one of the larger vision is by 2047, how we can be one of the developed self-reliant countries where every individual looks upon to making a difference not only to the universe but also to their own lives, own world, by being self-reliant, by being the earners for themselves rather than being um, dependent on someone else. And let's move on to the practical aspects of why entrepreneurship matters today. Uh, these are basic numbers, but from the perspective, if we look at our country, our country is a 1.4 billion workforce. However, one of the youngest countries of the world. Now, with these and the generations that are coming up, they are more equipped. They are more they are more not only equipped, they are more knowledgeable in terms of access to the information. They have better access to the information, and each one of them wants to be uh, the creator, the nurturer of the world, in a way that they want to innovate and create something. The generations in the schools also. However, most of us, by the time we grow and we are 18 and above, we are traditionally valued and we are traditionally rendered into a method that, I need to do this course and then get into a job. Now, if we look at the job sector also, the private jobs and the government jobs. 80% of the time we have a run through for the government jobs. And then when doesn't things don't work out, that's when we look for other options. However, if we also look at, the basic workforce, is there an inclusivity? That's the first question we all need to ask ourselves. And within that inclusivity, we also need to think, if I will be getting a government job and I will be spending my majority of my life into the job, then at the end of it, am I creating wealth for the community? Am I creating wealth for myself? Am I creating a sustainability for myself? It is just a 9 to 5, and more so, the percentage of the government jobs or the traditional private jobs also are falling down because of the skill sets. Now, there are two, three gaps. One is the skill set gap, second is the mindset, the third is the way we are educated to and brought up or raised for that matter. Even if there is a spike in the sector specific hiring, there is still a lot that needs to be done in order to make sure that 80, 60 or 30% who are into the rural, or the 40% who are in the mid sector, mid range mid sector, or the near to rural areas, they get through a better skill to get better jobs. Not everywhere you will have Fortune 500 companies, not everybody will get through Fortune 500 companies. So that's where it is important that, is there a way out? There is. Why? Because there is always a gap, there is always an empathy that we drive within ourselves. And if we look at that empathy, if we look through the world with the empathy, that is where we will find gaps to create enterprises, to create something which will not only create wealth but will also have an impact into the community, create jobs, have a much better and larger than life impact and result. And that's where this Manthan comes into picture, because Manthan talks about a job which is going to bring positives and the negatives as well. The results can be both, but are we ready to take on both of them and tackle both in a very good way? Now let's talk about the reality of the government jobs. These are basic numbers. So I've just picked from this government portal and put it up for all of you to take a look and see how it is working out. The ratios of applicants to openings is 1,000:1. Do you think that when 1,000 applications go for one position, what happens to those 999 candidates? Where do they go? What happens to them? And this is the reality. Now, barring this, if we look at the private sector also, there will be some range where, it would be somewhat like your 1,000:20 or 1,000:30, depending on the industry and stuff like that. What happens to the rest of the jobs? What happens to the rest of the people? What do they do? Do we say that there is nothing left for them in their life? There is. So today we are mainly focused into, is there anything that we can do not only for our community but also for ourselves, which will have the basics of SDGs, which will have inclusivity. Today we keep talking about uh, women empowerment, farmer empowerment, or doubling income, and so on and so forth. Today we talk about ESG, or the environment piece of it. We talk about clean environment, green environment. So So if we look at all these small sustainable development goals, in every aspect of it, there is a smaller gap that is there. And there are larger gaps as we move away from the cities. Within the cities, the urban gaps and the rural gaps are also there, and they're very different. The only way to look at it is, are we ready to take on with an empathetic thought process? And I'll give you a very small example. While I was while I was in the corporate world, I was in a senior position with the banking sector, and I got this chance to set up something as a part of the CSR activity, and I had to come to one of the villages in Orissa, and namely Kalahandi district. So that was my first encounter with the real world of our own state. And I was shocked to see and experience that my world, which was completely different for years and ages, that I hadn't been to a village like that, versus the village out there, which had like almost minimalistic electricity. We did a survey on the education, which was like for the females, it was less than 2%. And I'm talking about 2005, 6. So, however, the basic thing that everybody was worried about is how we can be more generous to this girl or to this female who has come all the way to set up something and help us in our livelihood. And that gave me a shocker, that is there anything that we as individuals, we as educated mass can do for them? And that's how Manikastu was coined, and Manikastu came into existence. And it is something to do with basic farming activities, however, attached with technology, attached with scientific methods, attached with a concept called as bank. So if you all Google out goat bank, you will see everything about the. So that's where we churn, and that's where we think through. These are basic numbers of average corporate attrition cycle and how people attrite or move out of the industry or move out of move out of their jobs. It could be anything. Could be personal, could be something to do with the company's methods also, or could be to do with performance. Now, there could be geographical reasons, there could be physical reasons, there could be any reasons. However, it is again important that we look at taking examples from the stories that have been there within the ecosystem. Now, if we look at India as a country, we definitely know which is the biggest or the largest Indian company which has raised to the world's eyes. Let's look at the IT sector, Infosys or TCS or Tata's, or let's look at Reliance, and let's see any of the companies. So all these companies were driven by people who wanted and who looked at a gap empathetically, and also looked at creating wealth out of giving a solution to that gap. And that's where innovation comes into picture. I'll give you another example. All of you, please Google out Far Eye or Farmly. How many of us travel by air every time or mostly in the airlines? Inside the airlines, when you are getting the food, you get some small packs, no? Farmly. Have we heard of this company, Farmly? Farmley. So this company Farmly again is one of those startups which have really grown very big, and today they are like a $1 billion company kind of a thing. Please Google out Far Eye, which started these all. Far Eye started in Odisha, and they started with just about two individuals, a husband and wife, who wanted to make a difference in the logistics world, because the people in the logistic were getting trouble. It was very unorganized at one point, sometime in 2012. And today they are a company with 20,000 plus employees. They have a very big office in Noida. They have offices in another 7 countries in the world as well. And India is making stories out there. And they are as good as any other large company. You all can check out Gautam Kumar, who is the founder and the owner. And he's a very young chap, a person who was there in Bhubaneswar, started its company in Bhubaneswar. So we all need to look at how our state, our country can be cohesed in a way that we plug these gaps through creation of businesses, to creating enterprises. And anything is an opportunity. And we must look at anything as opportunity. You can talk about the health sector, you can talk about food, you can talk about nutrition, you can talk about basic lifestyle services, you can talk about education. Pick any area. There is a gap for which we can create a solution, and that solution can be created as an enterprise. The only thought is, can we be empathetic, can we be helping enough, and are we ready to take on the churn of the poison and the success? That, if we are ready for that, that's where we'll make it successful and we'll grow big. So, I'm just, these are basic gaps of the jobs and stuff, but we do not want to get into this as much. So here, what I was talking about is, if you look at 93,000 government jobs versus 100 million seeking stable employment. And more so, if you also look at that, the corporate roles often are there and clustered into the high-end metros. What happens to the near to metro areas, the basic mid-range towns and cities, and also what happens to the rural part of the country? What happens to those areas where people do not want to go? Today's younger generation does not want to move to the rurals. What happens to those areas? However, in those areas also there are people of this generation which is within the young range of 30s and 20s, which is the next dreaming population, which is dreaming big, which is wanting to fly. And that is the second India. As you here rightly see that, almost 1.7 CR new potential workers each year. Now, when we talk about potential workers, workers does not mean laborers. Workers means skilled individuals, educated individuals who are ready to be taken on and given a new role to make a difference. And startups and MSMEs are the organizations or startups and MSMEs are the vents where these people can fit in and where they all can make a difference together. So if you look at it, the churning happens. The Western construct of churning has happened and made our country more of a battlefield. Every area, if you look at any area, whether a corporate, IT, Fortune 500 company, or anyone working in the banking sector, in any of the corporate sectors, what happens? We all talk about the sales, we all talk about marketing, we all talk about business, but every time we talk about business, it is never a playground. It is always a battlefield because we talk about market competition, we talk about snatching, we talk about how we can pull the market share. But more so, while we are doing this, is there a possibility that we can collaborate with the competitor and make it a ground where we play together, still by being competitive and building an ecosystem which will develop that cohesiveness and industry, build an industry, make a story for the state, for the country? So we all have to look at changing this mindset of, going battle versus being more collaborative, more empathetic, and building an ecosystem. And in order to build an ecosystem, we need to go deep into the roots to find what is our calling and where we can make a difference. What is our skills, how we can make a difference. It can start from as small as I as an individual doing that work and then getting more people to get attached with me, and that's how it works. So at why we have written here that entrepreneurship is the only scalable solution for inclusive growth is because you see, wherever with the startup ecosystem growing currently, with the government pushing in so much and making it a mandate that every institution, every educational college, or every higher education, or even in the schools, we must have an entrepreneurship cell. We must have a cell to, push innovations, to push for solutions. And there are ample and more opportunities there with a support from the government, from the philanthropy, and from the angels who are ready to push the money needed, who are ready to push the connects needed or mentorship needed. So where is the gap is, are we ready to take on that risk and move on? And I can give you as many examples. For, recently there was um, this program somewhere in one of the government institutions, and children were like, I want to take on my PG, finish off my PG, and get onto a role on contract for being a professor or taking up a basic job in any of the small agencies to test for something. Okay, so these were PGs or postgraduate final year students in one of the institutions on science and technology and stuff like that. So my first question to them was, what is your expectation? So everybody was like, somebody said, what we want to have anywhere between 80K to 1.5 lakhs per month. Someone said like 2.4, somebody said 60, and so on and so forth. And the calculation goes like this. If you are looking for a job and you're hoping to get a 50K, 60K, 1 lakh, whatever. So each month you will spend how many hours you will be giving? 48 hours a week. That is the basics of labor commission. 48 hours into 4 weeks into 12 months. In those, calculate. In those many hours, you will make, even if you are making a 1 lakh per month, then that makes it 12 lakhs per annum. And now you divide these 12 lakhs by the number of hours that you are spending in the organization and pushing yourself beyond that also, because prior to reaching your office and post your office hours, you still spend at least 1.5 hours with for the organization, right? And other than that, your travel is there, your other aspects that are attached to your career are there. Versus you find a gap, you come up with a solution, just an idea, and you present that idea as a pitch in front of any of the incubation, ideathon, hackathon, or for that matter, just a basic pitching activity happening somewhere, and you get a DST grant or a Nidhi EIR or a startup grant. The basic grants start anywhere. The prize money starts anywhere between 1 lakh to 10 lakh. And if you get an EIR or grant like so, it is 10 lakhs to 25 lakhs. So for those 7 minutes of pitching your idea, you can actually earn or get up to 10 or 25 lakhs. Why would you not try that? Ultimately there is this money factor. Beyond that, the government, the state and the central government, there are schemes where if your idea goes to a prototype stage, they support you for the prototype stage, and within that prototype stage you get a monthly allowance for your survival. And in the state of Orissa, it's 20K each month for the males and 22K each month for the females. And other than that, you have policies where you can apply for a need-based grant. A need-based grant does not have a cap. Then there is a grant for uh, PDMA, we call it PDMA, which is basically the product development and marketing grant. And these are just the grants that I'm talking about. If you look at the angels, if you look at the support system that is there, there is more and enough on the table out in the ecosystem. The only thing is we need to think right idea, make it into a right communication, and pitch it in the right place. Other than this, the Startup India has something called as SIFS funds. If you Google out SIFS funds, these are basically seed funds. Seed means when you are just in the nascent stage where within your ideas, within your thoughts, you have a very good idea which can be executed, which can be scaled, which can become, which can be moved or created into an enterprise. And if that idea is good enough for you, from your thoughts to be scaled to an enterprise, you are still liable to apply for these grants and kind of get the money. It is all on to us whether we would want to walk that path and make a difference for our country, for our state, for our own families. Back home, every family can have a history of jobs. And I can very proudly say that our family had a history of jobs, and I and my brother, we are the first generation entrepreneurs. Similarly for my husband's family as well. So, that's where today we are able to, we started off, when we started off our companies, we started off all individually. And today we are very proud to let you guys know that, in one of my companies, there are almost 30,000 farmers who are associated, who are working, and who are getting a very, very good payouts for themselves. And in a village, up to 2 lakh of payout in a year is as an extra earning is very good, and that's how you should look at. Similarly, in our all other organizations, like in Venus Forum, we have been able to support 50 plus startups, and all of them are female startups. And we have been able to help them raise funds in their own establishments, which could be anywhere between 50 lakhs to once a year. So again, you know, our thought group should be: am I ready to take that step on and walk the entrepreneur? Here is it, that why we as India needs more entrepreneurs. And this is what the data talks. Any startups can have employees between 5 to 50. So if we have 1 million startups helping 50 people each, then we are done with good 50 million. So that's how it is. So the calculations is something for you to make. Migration pressure is another piece where, if you see, it's been one of those areas where it has been always a pain to have people migrate from one place to another and then re-migrate back depending on the situations. And we all have experienced this in COVID time. So all the migrated people who came back in COVID had real tough times, and we still see some of the impacts out there as well. So entrepreneurs can create companies which can be local and which can actually support the youth locally not to migrate out, and the intellects and the brains can still stay back within their areas. This is from the philosophical side, but from the business side, let me give you some more examples. There was something that was run by a company called as Celco, and this was called as the Grassroots Tech Challenge. And all of you, beyond imagination, this challenge was very successful, and um, this was uh, this was actually run within the state of Orissa in the 10 western districts. And within those districts, because it was a grassroots challenge, it was only meant for the deep pockets of the districts, very deep pockets. Typically, you can say backyard of nowhere kind of villages. And can you imagine, there were 30 innovators. Out of those 30, 20 of them were farm innovators. Today, these companies have gotten not only funded, but some of the companies have gone international, because the same product which they built locally was giving them a margin of more than 25% in profit. However, also reduced the procurement price for the country. The same machine, if you bought from Germany, would cost you, I'm just giving an example, would cost you probably 3 lakhs, versus the one which was built with better quality, we buy the local with some innovation, costed just about 50K. So, there was a contribution in both ways. We all need to look at that kind of work. And it is but obvious you would love as an individual, we all love to be named as contributors towards nation building, towards state building, towards community building. All youth strive for that. And I'm sure all of us as individuals do strive for the same as well. So these are basic steps of creating a new product or coming up with a new idea. So the first step is you identify the problem. When we say problem, do not look at it as a problem. You look at that as an opportunity. For example, throwing waste or waste management or agri waste or farm waste or home waste could be, it is definitely a problem. But is there an opportunity? Can we convert that into some new products, a new manure probably, or a new product which can be used for farmlands, an eco method? Then it's an innovative thought. Similarly, you look at not just the waste, but you can look at any of the gaps, any gaps, basic gaps. For example, with a lot of city women going individual and living individually, getting them services which are focused for women and done by the women is a gap. For example, in our city, Bhubaneswar, how many of us can get a women driver to be working for a household? That's a gap. Is there an innovative way where we can have a solution to this? Then you develop a prototype. What is a prototype? You don't develop a real time of your work. Your idea is there. Put that idea into a 5 slides and then work on it. Create a smaller version or a miniature version of what your solution is. If it is a product, a prototype of that product, a small miniature model version of the product of your idea. Once that model is prepared, put it through to showcase everywhere. And must use is a technology usage, because now AI and all other high tech softwares and high tech blockchain and stuff like these are the talk of the town. We need technology, we breathe technology. So any solution without technology will definitely have a lower importance, because tomorrow there will be somebody who would be coming up with a better version of the same product. So that is going to be there. We all need to think through that, how I can leverage and blend technology and bring in a solution which can create stories, which can create the difference that I want to create. And once you look at that, look at what is the market need or market trends. What is my customer asking for? And who is my, rightly identify your customer. For example, again, I was into a pitching session and somebody pitched about a skin product. And my first question was, who is your customer? So the person says that, my customer is anyone between age 5 to 50 or 80. Do you think that is possible? Again, so that's a very wide range. You need to have a range which is towards the age group, and a skin product. Who are the ones, or which age group people are more concerned about their skin? A 5-year-old is not even bothered, right? So one should look at rightly identifying the customers. And then you move to the creativity piece of it. Now, why do we say creativity or innovation? You really don't invent anything. You just tweak a small portion, use and leverage technology, and bring a slight change which will reduce probably the cost, which will bring in more user friendliness, or which will bring in comfort in doing the same job. Only then it is considered as innovative. For example, earlier we used to use the brooms and the house mops, hand mops. A lady would sit on the floor and use the mop, or use a piece of cloth and mop the house or swab the house. A slight change is the mop handle, and little better change is the small mop handle with the rotating bucket, because squeezing is tough, because sitting and mopping is tough. So it brought in comfort, it brought in less time usage, and it brought in cost effectiveness. So that's where you won't call it a real time invention, but it's an innovative product for doing the same work with better ROI. However, within these, when you are thinking of getting or creating or moving into a creation of a new solution, please keep an eye, watch the market, watch the trends, watch what your customers keep asking. Because we as customers, we have never ending desires. Once we got the mops, we thought of even better, easier method. So there were mops which came with those battery stuff. Then we thought of even better. So nowadays there are robots which actually support in all the household chores. So we as customers, we keep having our demands keep going higher. So as an innovator, we need to keep tweaking ourselves. We need to be very flexible to keep watching what our customers want, what is it that our world is asking for. And that's where we will make a difference, and we will be alive for a longer period of time, because we will be tweaking and bringing in those small changes as and when required, once we have the product or we have the service, or once our idea is uh, marketed. So these are basically points for service innovations. The key drivers are, as I said, user experience. Again, don't run on the competitive piece of it. Don't make it a battlefield. Please go for collaborations. Persistence, again, these are just the words, but more so what you need to look at is, when it's service, experience is what matters, what you remember. And experience is something that you remember, that you cherish every time. Think about it. When you go to a business class, um, and go on a business class airlines, that experience is what you cherish. When you go to Taj, that experience is what you cherish. You don't look at price. It is priceless. And that's where you make a difference. So sustainability has to be there, and consistency and persistence has to be there. And in service, please look at co-creating a better world rather than fighting out and being the survivor in a battle world. Here I've given some of these examples of how government can support entrepreneurs. So again, think about it. Do you want to spend years and years, months and hours looking at a 30%, 20%, 40% is not possible hikes each year as appraisal? Or do you want to see multiple revenue leaps with better support? You to make a choice. So if you look at the second point, 7,500 crores sanctioned to more than 90,000 startups since 2016. 2016 is when our government started off with these policies and the startup policy. Since then until now, these are the numbers. And in Odisha also, there are almost as of today, there will be more than 1,900 startups which are registered and which are working in different sectors, including some very deep tech innovations, some of them hardcore social impact, some of them into the mid range of impact and technology as well. You know, recently, if you also look, please type or please Google out WISE program Delhi. You will see that we had recently completed the WISE, which is Women in STEM Entrepreneurship. It was a 6 month program, and we were able to support almost 22 startups from across the country, including 3 from Odisha. And when you get incubated in startups or as an organization, there is a startup grant that you get. Depends from incubator to incubator, maybe depends again, ranging between 20 lakhs to 35 lakhs in your ideation stage, in seed stage. Why do we say call to action or be the change? You know, this is just the next big idea or big thing, but then again, more so, it is all to do with your innovation will create a legacy and leave a legacy behind you, behind the creator of that legacy, to be remembered into a different, remembered in different times also. More so than we definitely make money out of it, you know. So, and the humor way is, you know, is there something that I can do which can help me live my life better by helping others? So if I'm able to help others and then build a solution which will bring in money in the process, that is noble in today's world, because that's what is entrepreneurship. And before we, open this for all of you to ask questions, I'll just give you a very small story of an entrepreneurial journey. And the story goes like so. Uh, there was this small farmer who used to cultivate any other fruits, you can say. Let's look at watermelon. Say each watermelon, this post harvest, each watermelon he would sell to one of these traders who would come to pick from his farm and would sell each of them for 10 rupees. Now this trader will go to the mandi and sell each of these watermelon at rupees 40. So the watermelon he bought at the rate 10 now is the price of 40. Now from the mandi, the business traders who move from markets to markets across cities and from fruit market to fruit market, they would pick it up at the rate 40 and sell it to the basic vendors across the cities and towns at the rate 80. So which the same watermelon which was costing 10 is now 80. You know, and then it would move into different places. Now this friend, this friend of this trader was there, and he said that, let me do something. I see people are very health conscious. Let me just buy a watermelon and put it into a form of a juice. So one watermelon he bought for 80 and took out 10 glasses of juice, and each glass he would sell for 50. So how many glasses? 10 glasses, so 500 rupees. The same watermelon, which was costing 10, moved to 40, moved to 80, now it's 500. Even smarter friend of that juice maker said, let me do this. Let me stand in front of a park in the morning, put a dash of basil, put a dash of ginger, and put a dash of mint, and label it as a health drink. I can sell it for a glass for 120. 10 glasses from the same 80 rupees watermelon, the juice costed 50. Now this health drink costs 120. Smarter friend again thought that can we do something if people are coming, fresh juice is good, but then not everybody will be comfortable with the hygiene. Let's do this. Let's pack them up and put them into a healthy Tetra Pak. And that Tetra Pak, because it is no preservative, because it is with dash of mint and all natural products, which can reduce belly fat, which can reduce the risk of dehydration, and some fasai and some herbs like chia seeds and others in it, it can be packed. It can have a better shelf life. Now that can cost 200. Now, question I will leave for all of you, who do you think is the right kind of entrepreneur? And having said that, thank you for the day. I would open this session to questions from all of you.
Control D, your microphone is on.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your nice presentation. So, dear learners, if you have any query, if you have any suggestion, if you have any doubt, you can put with your question.
And this slide basically gives you a snapshot of the areas which India as a country is currently. You will get ample and more to be empathetic to look at the gaps. And I'm more than happy to answer your questions, doubts. Who can answer me? Who among in the story, who was the best entrepreneur? Or who is the entrepreneur within the story? Who can answer? We can't give chocolates here, but we can still answer, I guess.
Yeah, anybody?
I think there is no more question from the learners. That means everything they have understood.
Good presentation.
I would take it the other way around. Either everybody got it or nothing gotten it.
But I think the way you have presented, it's a very good presentation, and the learner must have learned something, I think. So it's not like that they have not learned. So I hope they all have enjoyed a lot,
Yeah.
because your presentation was very fantastic. So that is why they might not be understanding all the things.
Sure, sure. So
Okay,
any
okay.
questions? If we do not have questions, then I understand that, we all are good there and we can move on. I would thank
Okay.
all
Okay,
of
then
you.
I think learners have no more questions. So now let us move to the final session of this meeting. Now I would request Dr. S.K. Panigre sir, Additional Director sir, to offer a vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Prabhas sir. I'm really glad to, have a nice kind of presentation of Jayanti ma'am. Really is excellent. So, what ma'am has told, either coin has two sides, exactly. So, either students understood everything or nothing. So both are correct, but I do feel whatever the things is there, which way ma'am has presented today's presentation. So definitely our learners related out of that. So if any of the persons being to enter in this entrepreneur field or innovation kind of things, so definitely out of the rich experience of ma'am, which kind of work she was doing. So it's excellent. So definitely you can get benefited out of that. So we are really thankful to Janti ma'am. So out of our busy schedule, despite of all kind of work, so she has given time to us. No doubt we are keeping in very hot time. So 1:30 is one of the lunch time, but the time is there is a concern, you have understood that. So thank you very much, ma'am. So
Thank
giving
you
a
so
time
much,
to
sir.
and you address our learners. So definitely we immensely benefited out of your presentation. Thank you very much, ma'am, once again to your present in today's webinar and address to our learners. And last but not least, I extend my heartfelt thanks to my dear learners. So we are trying for you, we are doing for you. So be vocal, try to speak whenever you are listening something, try to express. Then it will benefit you in your future life. So you all are management students, so definitely we are, feel proud out of that. So our student can benefit out of that. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Jai Jagannath. Namaskar.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, now meeting is over.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
ମାନେ ଆଉ ଖାଲି ଗରମ ପାଣି